This podcast is brought to you by Primary Arms. Primary Arms seeks to provide the best shopping experience for everything firearms. With over 13,000 products from over 400 top brands, Primary Arms carries a complete selection of rifles, handguns, firearms parts, shooting gear, apparel, and more. Every order comes with a commitment to superior service, backed by fast shipping and an expert support team. Primary Arms, serving freedom since 2008. Find out more at frn.deals/PA. Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first rifle or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Garth Hofer.
Hey, buddy, how we doing tonight?
Oh, just wonderful. I know that Tyler will be joining us. He's just a little bit behind, schedule tonight. So he'll be here. Just give him a minute.
I'm not in the military, so I don't know where my civilian to military jokes go, but aren't you guys punctual on time?
A lot of times, yes. But I also understand extenuating circumstances. So
we'll go with extenuating. Okay, sure. Okay.
Yep. So Garth, I know that our main topic tonight is going to cover a lot of what we did. But so is there anything like new or things you picked up or things you decided you needed to get within the last week?
Not within the last week. Well, yeah, kind of a no. Yes and no. We did go on a little adventure, the AR-15 podcast, and I was able to hold a gun this weekend. And I took it off the list of things I just probably don't need in my life. And that is the 1811 320. I held yours, and it felt nice, but it didn't feel like it fit me. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're like, okay, this might not be the thing I need in my hand.
Yeah, and so now I have one extra spot in my safe to fill in this particular safe, and now I'm kind of looking at a few different options. One of which, if I can pull my notes up, because I keep notes of things like that. Where's it at? That's a Glock. Well, it's not a Glock. It's a Glock-ish. I can't find it now. Gosh dang it.
Are you talking about the platypus?
No, I'm not talking about the platypus. I'm talking about getting a Glock 34 Combat Master from Terran Tactical.
Ah, I see.
I want to go full John Wick.
Well, fair enough. I mean, that would work, I guess. So
that might happen. But then again, you and I were talking on the trip home, and a Jackal maybe in the future. I mean, I like the look of them. And there's a few other ARs that have piqued my interest. So I don't know. Things to consider. Got to go to another gun show and, sell guns instead of buy guns, because you know how I roll.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I do not do that. I just collect more, I think.
You do. You collect a lot more, and someday I kick myself for that, but just I don't need every gun in the world. I want an adequate amount, and I feel I have more than others and less than some. So
I agree. I don't want every gun in the world either, because there's some of them that I just don't need in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I've owned a Zip 1022. That was a horrible idea.
Yeah, I never even wanted one of those because I looked at it and said, this is ungood.
Well, no, and I looked at it and went, I have to have it because it's so different. And thankfully, the guy who ran the gun shop at the time, I had it for 2 days and took it back to him. I said, this thing sucks. I want my money back. And he goes, yeah, I never even cashed your check, so here you go.
Oh, I think that's what happened to most of them.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can even find one of those on Gunbroker right now. I might have to.
You might have to do the Googles.
I might have to do the Googles and see if we can even find one of those things, because those were just terrible.
They were hideous. It was the ultimate Spaceship 22 gun. Ooh, I'm gonna go do something real quick before it blares everyone out. I'll be back in a second.
Oh boy. Well, he's gone. Oh man. You you can get them while Garth is gone. Uh they are apparently available. There's one at auction but the price they're going for, I do not understand.
What price are they going for right now?
Um 400 and
Four.
$432.
Good grief! I think I paid $225 for mine.
Yeah. See, if you would have held on to it, it would have been an investment.
Apparently. Well, I mean, just because it's going for 400 doesn't mean it's going to get sold.
No, that's the bids are up to.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right. I guess I should have held on to it. What do I know?
Yep. So no, well, we did that. We did as when Tyler gets on here, I'm sure we'll talk about way more in length. We did go to a class, and I love taking, like I one just love training altogether. Like, it doesn't matter if it's just us going out and training, running drills, or going somewhere to take a class. We found a great group of instructors that are somewhat local to us, and by that I mean they're only they're only about 5 hours away from our 5 to 6 hours away from our location. So
I mean, realistically, you got to take like 3 hours off that because we have to drive that far anyway if we want to go to a air quotes big city.
yeah, we're 3 hours from a Target. So
Yeah.
But no, one of the things I love about going to these is getting a chance to shake out your gear. Like, I know that you know I train with full kit probably more than a lot of other people do,
Yeah.
and it's I know kind of how mine is set up and how I like it and where things are, but you kind of got a chance to shake some of that out for the first time.
I think that was the longest I've ever worn my upper body kit since I purchased it like 5 years ago. And one of the things you never talk about, and I mean, realistically, a lot of guys in your line of, military professions are in shape somewhat. And I found out this weekend I am not. Round is a shape, but it's a bad shape.
Well, the other part about that is fitting your kit to you,
That
because when you pull it out of the box, you go, okay, yep. And then you kind of get it, like, you think you got it right. Then you stuff it in the closet and don't touch it again.
yeah.
And then it's, hey, we're going to go train in this. And things are flopping and moving. And it's, oh no, you got to have everything kind of tight. And it's not exactly comfortable when you're wearing plate carriers and stuff like that, because, well, carrying a gun, as Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch said, is it's not about being comfortable.
That is 100% correct. I'm learning this. I mean, we talked about it in length, and I'm sure we will later with Tyler on. But man, just being comfortable in your gear is a major must-have. And this weekend really taught me that I need to work on a few things. Like you said, check out your gear, because I thought I had a fairly well-equipped handle on what I had, and for any three-gun competition, I think it works fabulously. But in a life-threatening situation or scenario, that uh, loadout gear I have may not be the gear I want to go into battle with. So,
Yeah, I will run some of my I'll run my battle belt kit at a 3-gun competition because I know where everything's at and I can get to it fast.
mm-hmm.
But I I have a very different setup than, well, not a very different setup. I know that my setup looks very familiar to a lot of people, and it's okay. Nope, this is just what we run because it's, you know, not that I need all the speed in the world, but you know, low pro stuff is still low pro.
Yeah. Well, I did enjoy how your buddies started commenting on your photo since you got a nice little snippet from the class and you hung it up on your Facebook. And every one of your buddies didn't care about your sidearm or your AR. They're really interested in that knife.
Well, that's because that's a very specific knife that came from a very specific place. And
Yeah.
there's only a handful of people who got those, and they all had to comment that they had one too.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
But uh yes, great times. No, of course we went to the class. I did not take my M16 A4 because that's something that's just gonna get shaken out later because, well, reasons. You know,
Yeah.
I I could have shot the ACOG in a 20, and
Perhaps this weekend when we go to the range, that can be one of the guns.
no. So when we did that, I didn't. I'll have to zero that ACOG yet. So that's the other thing. I know that Tyler will be joining us shortly, so I don't want to get too deep into the class because there's something that he definitely learned at this as well.
Oh, a lot of things. Well, we could actually just talk a little bit about the facilities themselves because they're located in Jackson, Nebraska, and we'll just do a quick little plug for these guys. RevTac.com is where you can find these guys. If you guys are in the Midwest, in South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, and you are looking for some solid training digs, go check these guys out. We found them online, and honestly, I'm very impressed with the setup they have there. It's a nice little school. They've got a long range shooting area. They said it goes out to a mile, if I remember right.
Yep.
And then they also just have their training facilities at 25 yards for pistol and AR. And there was a few other bays that we didn't go into, but just from the highlight reel they had playing on the wall, it looks like a sweet place, and I am definitely going to go back and train with them again because I was thoroughly impressed with it. And like you said, it was only 5 hours away for us, so that's nothing the podcast on a car radio can't fix.
Exactly. We can listen to other idiots drone on about guns for
Exactly.
uh but no, that was a good time. And like we said, right, I know we'll get into it here, and when Tyler comes in, we might cover some of this stuff again. But when we uh when we went down there, when we went to this class, I know that well, Garth, wasn't this your first rifle class?
This actually was my first rifle class. Yeah, done a couple pistols back in the day, but this was different for me. I brought my sidearm as well, thinking maybe we'd do little transitions. That didn't happen, which I'm totally okay with because I mean the title was AR Fundamentals 1 and 2, so I didn't expect to go too deep down the rabbit hole. But yeah, as far as AR class, I wasn't sure what to expect. We had a great turnout of like 15 guys show up. And so it was a nice little setting where I didn't feel crowded or overwhelmed by anyone. I mean, I felt like everyone was kind of right around our level of shooting. And I think that really surprised the instructor, Mike, because he wasn't ready for I guess, our caliber of shooter. Is that a
Well,
good way to put it?
it's when we first started talking, everybody kind of did their introductions, and I once again tried to introduce myself as I'm just a guy, and
I didn't give it away this time. It
yeah,
wasn't me.
but when we went through, it was like, oh, okay, there's a handful of military people there, several people who had taken classes with them before, and it was all in all just a lot of what I would call seasoned shooters, and
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it.
they we were all there for a fundamentals class. And it's one of those where I really enjoy taking like fundamental and intro level classes.
I'm right there with you. I think there's always something you can take away from any beginner class because everyone has a different style of teaching. And I mean, and so far I haven't come across a guy who's like, no, I think I just rather leave this guy's class 5 minutes into him talking. And I didn't get that at all. And I had several big things that I took away. And when Tyler gets here, we will get into them.
Well, we might just start getting into them before he gets here, and then just circle back when he brings them up, or tell him we discussed them earlier as he gets into it.
Fair enough.
Since he had to be late today, and we pushed back the show for him anyway. But we all know he won't listen to this as it is. But so after we got down there, this was also like, granted, we were only shooting at 25 meters. We didn't really know that going into the range, but we knew it was the fundamentals. And this one, like you brought, we all brought 5.56 guns, and we're running a standard AR. So, what rifle did you run at the class? And we'll start with that, and then we can kind of we'll start talking about our rifles, and then we'll get into what the class shook out and things of that nature.
Yeah, I took my competition AR, my Black Rain, the standard yellow Black Rain with the etched Gadsden flag into it, and it's a really pretty gun. Because the reason I took it was because it was the only rifle I had that was sighted in currently, as far as short, like I say, smaller scope, I should say. I was going to take my Sig Sauer because it was ambidextrous, and then I opened up my safe to go to the class that day and realized that I'd done a scope swap about a month ago and had not had time to go sight in the new gun, or new scope anyway. And so, yeah, I really made my decision for myself about a month ago, and it panned out well. I mean, that sight, the Swamp Fox 1x blade, was an awesome optic because, again, like you said, we were shooting 25 yards or meters and in. And so I was able to kind of cheat a little bit on my zeros and holdovers because that scope is set up for 5, 10, 15, and 50 yards. So
Yeah.
that was nice.
So that is one where, having the exact optic you needed for that particular situation did pay off. And so you were running, just a 16-inch Black Rain AR that you had, and when you brought that for the class, that was just, you were running it because you had a 1X optic on it, and that was just what you had there. Was the reliable gun you knew would function.
Exactly. And I did suppress it, which I learned later in the day was a horrible mistake. Only because I had steel case ammunition and it gummed the gun up so bad. Thankfully, I was able to find enough brass in my range bag to finish out the day. So that didn't happen. But I also wanted to screw the can too, and then made everyone around me pay for it. So,
Tyler, how are we doing today?
What up, bitches? Can you hear me all right?
We can.
You are coming loud clear.
Excellent. Sorry, I had finish up some AR-15 build classes with Havoc Engineering Group. Ran a little late, so what did I miss?
Not much. We were just starting to get into the class and a little bit about things we needed and what some of our takeaways. We started talking a little bit about shaking out your gear, and Garth said
Yep.
he realized that he needed to do that, and we just were getting into the rifles we used before we started talking about like really what the class entailed.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I know for me, I had I got an S-Tac admin pouch that I put on the front of my, so on my plate carrier, I just got 3 magazines, and then on the front of that, I got a really narrow S-Tech admin pouch that I hadn't used yet. And the reason I did that was, I do have a dangler, but being able to see down in your admin pouch while you're using it was, I found to be something I really like. But I also don't like a lot of stuff sticking out of my chest, especially if you got to hit the ground, you want to get as low as possible. Also, you got, once you throw a sling on something, slings catch on everything. So I wanted to be able to shake that down, and I was impressed. I ended up liking the pouch right on the front of the mags, so that was good for a gear shakedown with me. I think I'm going to hang on to it. The only thing that I couldn't really, use was the front of the pouch is full Velcro, so you can put name tapes or what on there. But I think I'm gonna run it pretty slick because that was right where my charging handle sit. If I put a name tape or like a blood type patch on it or something like that, it's just going to get ripped off. But no, I think I'll keep it on there and keep trying it out. But it was a good weekend to shake that down. So that was a bonus for me.
yep. Well, while we're going, we'll just move right on into what you brought for a rifle and why, or rifle or
Yeah.
whatever. What you brought for an AR?
So I brought a LMT Defense shovel nose. So it was a 12.5-inch piston, um, complete ambidextrous monolithic rifle. I was rocking an Elcan 1x4 on it. I do like having uh, I really like my piston guns. I do have to admit that those LMTs are built like a brick shit house, but they are very heavy. And then I was also running a Surefire SOCOM 2 556 can on it, and those are not light either. So between that gun and that suppressor, my left arm was getting pretty damn tired by the end of the day. So I think in the future, man, I don't know. I think I would have liked a lighter gun, but no, I mean, that was a super reliable gun. I knew we were going to work it in close quarters, so I really didn't need anything with an extremely long barrel. And that LMT, the monolithic and ambidextrous, it is just so easy to work with. So that was me.
Yep. Uh, I I popped open my safe and went, well, it's going to be one of two because I kind of have two go-tos for any of these things, and I elected this time to run my 16-inch gun instead of my 11.5-inch.
Yeah, why was
So,
that? I noticed you were a longer one this time around.
um, honestly, it's because like my last 5 training sessions out at the range, where I've been just like
Mhm.
going out, I've been running my 11.5-inch gun all the time,
Sure.
and I went, you know what? I'm just gonna bring I'm gonna bring a 16-inch rifle, like not a overly long barrel. Like I didn't grab my 20-inch M16. I brought a
Yeah.
16-inch 3-gun rifle that's a comparable, just a solid rifle, and that
Yeah.
has a 1 to 10 LPVO on it, and it's one of those things where, again, talking about different types of shooting and different things and shaking your gear out. it even on 1X, the eye relief needed for a 1 to 10 LPVO slowed me down on some of those fast shots.
Oh yeah.
And I know that if the instructor was here or is listening to this at some point, he's going to be like, "Yeah, slowed these assholes down." And
It's a relative term.
Yeah.
because it was the whole group of guys we were shooting with pretty much was all it's like, you guys are accurate and fast. So because he'd have like an 8-second par time, and the guy next to you would shoot the drill and he'd come up behind you, and then you'd wait for like the whole time, and then you'd be set and the buzzer would go off for the par time, and you'd shoot it in 3 seconds going, "Oh, wait, that wasn't my buzzer."
Yeah, so for what he's saying, there was 13 of us in the class, and because you're using a shot timer which reads sounds, we couldn't all be shooting at once, and he wanted to see kind of where we were at individually. So we'd go down the line, walk up behind us one at a time, and run a shot timer. But some of these par times were so long that the first person was able to shoot, the instructor was able to walk to the second person, that person would shoot before the par time was over. So yeah, we had a really good group.
Yep, that was, and the other part of it is some of us were running or like our cans were a little quiet for the timer, and it didn't matter if I had one there or not,
Yeah.
because my times never showed up on the shot timer, because since it reads sound.
I mean, you did run the fastest times of the day. Zeros.
Yeah, zeros straight across the board.
Yep.
Smoking. Well, Garth did hand time you on a couple of them, which were pretty salty.
Yep. And that was just one where, again, I run a suppressed gun a lot, and I did one time like, oh, I should have probably lubed this thing before I shot it, and added a little juice to it, and I never really got into any malfunctions except for when I took the can off.
I think that's where you both had some major issues, was taking the can off.
Well, yeah, 'cause I forgot to. I took the can off, and then I forgot to switch my gas block to suppressed, and so I'm sitting there racking it for the first 3 shots, going, "What the hell is going on?" And then I realized I forgot to switch it over.
Yeah, and I just ran a bolt action rifle for.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, 34-second run.
Yeah, with a bolt action AR. Yeah, just a straight pull bolt action. But we made things work. And
he said, "Run it until the course is complete," and you sure did. So,
how about you, Garth?
What's that?
What were you rocking, or did I miss that?
You missed that.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
but
it was loud as shit though. So
rocking,
if we go back there and we do the do the squad stuff, you are not running that break.
Well, that was, yeah. I mean, that break was just the thread from the can. So I would actually probably put a compensator on or something like that.
So
yeah.
So one that's actually something that we should talk about. It might go into something later. Like, I don't think we can do a full show on it, but I get asked this question a lot, and it's, hey, so like if I put a muzzle brake or a flash hider for my quick attach for my can for system X, whatever it is, will they actually do anything? And then if you've ever been around someone running a muzzle brake, like a proper muzzle brake,
oh yeah,
you know it's working by whether or not it's obnoxiously loud.
Well, I know Tyler was getting concussions from mine, and I was getting concussions from Tate's gun. So
yeah.
I was catching some from yours as well. but like that was a muzzle brake on a Yankee Hill machine mount for a turbo, and like that's an effective muzzle brake as well.
Actually, we had a great question just show up in the comments.
Oh.
What kind of ammo are y'all running suppressed? I don't really change it up, to be honest with you. That day I was running PMC X-Tac 5.56, and it was working really well, both suppressed and unsuppressed. I am too broke to really get subsonics, so I just stick with the normal stuff.
I was running whatever cheap bulk 5.56 I had purchased at some point, because I have a couple ammo cans. It's just like, this is 55 grain that I bought in lots of 1,000, and I run 55 grain for most all of my training ammo and competition stuff. So 55 grain brass cased ball ammo, and like that's just what I was running.
I just stay away from, personally, I stay away from the I like to stick with brass. I like to stick with 5.56. Try and purchase, the same stuff, but I mean, I have the I have the PMC, I have the American Eagle. I have probably 3 different brands ish of 5.56 in any given time.
Yeah, that was my biggest, one of my biggest realizations for the class was I showed up with Tula or Wolf, which one of them, steel case ammunition, and it dirtied my gun up so bad that I couldn't really run anymore. And so I just had a bunch of random brass bulk ammunition. I had full metal jackets, I had hollow points, I had lead nose stuff. This stuff I had a miscellaneous can for, I don't know, last 5-6 years. And I knew it was just going to be burner ammo at that point. So I was actually going to save it for competition this summer, but I don't think I'll be shooting 223 this summer in Pier anyway. So decided to burn it there instead, and I'm thankful I brought it, because otherwise it's kind of hard to practice fundamentals of ARs when you don't have proper ammo to run through your gun.
There's a very technical term for what you had, and that is called a Skittles magazine.
Yeah, it definitely was 100%.
Because he was just trying to taste the rainbow. But no, that's
how fucked up did I get?
Well, right now he seems to be good, but
No, I'm fairly good right now. You guys make it sound like I have a problem. I just like. Did you tell him there was a bourbon bar?
No, I did not.
After we were done,
we haven't got into any of that. So,
yeah.
After training, we all accomplished our missions, I would say.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
So we'll leave that at that.
All right, let's dive into then. What was the biggest takeaway for each of you guys at this AR Fundamentals 1 and 2 class?
So my favorite thing about this particular class was actually one of the targets that they used. And did you guys talk about the 3-dot target?
Nope,
3-circle target? Okay. So what was neat to me about this particular course was they had a target, and it had a 6-inch diameter circle, a 4-inch diameter circle, and a 2-inch diameter circle. Are those dimensions right, Dooley?
Are you asking?
More or less, yes.
Yeah. Yep. So 3 varying size circles, spread out probably 8 to 10 inches from each other. And what was cool about it, they basically named it, the speed target, the moderate target, and the precision target. And so they had different drills or different courses of shooting with different number of bullets, whether it was standing, whether it was prone. And you got to train on taking quick shots, medium shots and very precise shots. So it was, I think, that was my favorite part. That was my biggest takeaway. Mix it all together when you're going from one to another. It really makes you think. It really makes you know when to take your time and when you need to go fast. So I was a big fan of the target that they used.
Yep, that was really good. Um, I like I said, I've taken a handful of other classes, and I love the intro classes. Um, one of the things that I really liked watching it, it wasn't as much something that's a big takeaway for me, but the when I knew I'd found people I wanted to continue training with was actually
We love you
when we
too.
got out onto the range, we went through. It was they were talking about low ready, high ready, and then we went to high port. And when I heard that come out, I got excited because, like, almost everyone would be familiar with like the low ready and what the low ready is.
Yeah.
That's where your barrel's pointed. It's like 45 degrees down. So you're pointing your barrel at the ground, and you have everything in front of you, and your sling's draped off of you and stuff like that. And we talked about swimming it out of a sling and things of that nature, but they brought up high port, and what that is when you're moving around, especially when you're moving around people, sometimes you can't keep the everything pointed down in front of you because, like, as one of the instructors said, he goes, you can do the whole stripper pole thing where you're pretty much like trying to spin around with the gun pointed at the ground so you don't point it at anything. Or you can go to high port where you're not pointing it at anyone and you're, ostensibly pointing the gun in the air. And while that might not be, an ultra safe place because everything comes down, you just have to have like proper, trigger control and safety and things of that nature to not just randomly shoot into the air.
God,
Mhm.
you stole my thunder, damn it. That's exactly what I was going to talk about. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I don't necessarily shoot with a sling a lot. And so Julie and I went to the range a month or two ago, and we worked on swimming out of a sling. And I'm glad we did because when we got there, that's what we ended up doing for most of the day. I didn't care for high port before this class. And knowing how to swim out of a sling, especially with body armor, that's another thing I'd never done. And so it was a new experience and something I really enjoyed. And like Dewey said, I don't want to shoot the guy in front of me because I got my gun at low ready and I clip him in the calf or the ankle or something like that accidental discharge, if you will. So, I mean that was a big takeaway of it in and of itself. And then something that also kind of dawned on me while we were there is just even when you're in your low ready position, as you're bringing that gun up to sight in on the target, this is something that I noticed myself doing in three gun competition is I would pull up, look through the sight, and then take my gun off safety and then pull the trigger. And what Mike worked with us on is while you were bringing that gun up, that gun is already going off safety because in a situation where we're shooting just cardboard targets in a real life situation, I want to be putting the first shot in the guy's knee, dick, stomach, and so forth, and going up. And it's hard to do that if you're not taking that safety off until you're already on target. And so for me, that was a big takeaway.
And I've seen that quite a bit with training in the Army, especially on the M17 pistol. When you're training new troops with the pistol, they tend to be very uh, I'll say cautious, which is good. Don't get me wrong, right? But when you got your weapon on the target, the sight's on the target, and then you flick the safety off, not only are you losing a little bit of time, but especially with like the pistols, even you might lose sight picture. I've seen that quite a bit because people focus on your gun will move because you are shifting your hands, you're shifting your
Well,
fingers.
exactly. You're flinching. You're losing
Yes.
target pressure.
Yep. So making that one nice fluid motion really saves you a lot of time and helps you really stay on target. So something really good to train, and you don't even have. That's something you don't even have to train with live fire. That is a good dry fire thing to practice as well.
Yep.
Well, and this is one where, the ready up was super important.
Yeah.
We did that where we just ran ready ups. And for anyone who doesn't know what a ready up is, it is when you pretty much have somebody standing beside you. You could probably do it without someone, but you have your weapon system sitting there, and you're going okay, and you have your sights, all that, looking up, ready up, and you pull up, flip the safety off, and aim into the sight. Like that was what ready up always meant before, was we were doing it that way. And it's just like a controlled dry fire.
Mm-hmm.
So
and another I really enjoyed was how to grasp your handguard, because realistically you don't need your first shot to be in line with your sights, your eye with your sights. I mean, if your thumb is pointed down your rail, you have a pretty good indication of where you're going to be putting that round at, as just an indicator. And so that was a helpful tool as well. Just because a lot of my first shots during this class, I wasn't looking through my optic. I was just kind of basing off where my thumb was, and I was hitting center mass. So,
yes, point shooting.
Point shooting.
No, that is, again, like you're saying, another solid thing to take a look at is anytime you get into, your classes, instructors should be looking at that and showing you how to properly grip a rifle and things of that nature.
Yeah, overall, I thought this class did a fantastic job, and I look forward to going back and taking more from these guys. And I think the final takeaway from me is, and I don't want to get into great detail about it, but a lot of people just look at training as, well, these guys are they're preppers, they're conspiracy theorists. Well, no, not necessarily. We just want to be prepared for any situation. And the last thing I want to hear from a lot of people, and I hear it a lot, is, well, if shit hits the fan, I'll just come to your house.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
No. Don't do
Go
that.
out and train yourself.
I don't want you.
Prepare yourself. And doing training is a great way to do that.
Well, so as someone who, has a training company,
yeah,
and does these things aside from, like, hey, help put money in the pockets and things of that nature. It is awesome to have guns and pistols and ARs and things of that nature. That is great and good fun, and like, I love gear and looking at everything and all of those things. But when you start to break down the value of training, I had a lady come through a class here just like 2 weeks ago, and when I was talking to her, she said, well, yeah, I know that we said we should go out and practice more, but I haven't shot a handgun since I took this class 5 years ago.
Oh,
And
that's not good.
No, that is a lot of people where they, okay, nope, I went out, I did this thing, I took this one class, but shooting is a perishable skill.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't keep up on it, your skills atrophy. Now, like, Jerry Michelik can take a year or two off and still outshoot any one of us, probably.
More than likely, but why would he, man? That's a lot of free ammo he's giving up.
But this is more just like a theoretical thing. And taking these classes, remember that no one is ever above an intro class because I
I know
learned
I had a
something.
blast.
I learned something in every class I've ever been to. It might be something about teaching. It might be, it might be something small where I learned one thing, but I still learn things.
100%.
And I just love seeing the different perspectives from different instructors, right? Like this is actually my second AR fundamentals class that I've taken this year alone, and the first one I took, there were some things that were the same, which was good to see, right? Like I was afraid that I start bouncing around from instructor to instructor, and people have 180-degree ideas, and that wasn't necessarily the case, um, but it was really cool to get different perspectives from different people, whether it's shooting stances, gear, form, you name it. Everybody has something that you can add, and you don't necessarily have to stick with to one. You can take the stuff that works best for you. You can take the stuff that you like, and you can mold it into your particular style or how you want to train. If something's not comfortable, don't do it. Like Garth, I know you and I'm really tall. I got really bad knees. I can't like when we go to knee, uh, a lot of the times, some people will sit on their back foot. I cannot physically do that, so I have to take a different kneeling stance than other people.
Yep.
So yeah, and both instructors had, you know, both this class and the one I took this summer had different input on how to improve that particular stance for me.
Well, I
Yep.
mean, like you said, right away in the classroom before we ever went out to the range, she goes, "Hey, we are not your mom. We are not here to force you to do anything. Try it. If it works for you, great. But I mean, we want you guys to take away from this class anything you can, and hopefully it's in a positive manner. But yeah, their word is not, gold. So I mean, do what works for you. In my situation, there was a kneeling portion of the class. I am a big man of 6'4", 350 pounds. Kneeling and then jumping back up is not going to happen for me at all. I can go down on the ground and then I'll stay there. And then he yelled at he goes, "Don't use your gun as a hitch post to get up." Well, then get over here and help me up, okay? Because I can't.
So that was actually that's a good point. So that was actually something in my previous class where they said, "Hey, do that if you need to do that." Or when you're coming down, these rifles are meant to handle, put that stock in the ground to help you down. Or I also learned that any magazine that's mil spec, it'll feed no matter what you do. So, i.e., you can use that thing as a monopod to help steady yourself for the longer shots. And I saw it, and another point, um, how these guys recommended you go to the prone position or shot in the prone position was different from what the previous trainers did. So, these guys recommended that you have your left hand on the base of the magazine, which is touching the ground, to help stable yourself. The previous trainers recommended that you stick the buttstock into basically what is this, your clavicle or whatever, into your collarbone, so your body's slightly pressing down, and then you put your hand on the top of the hand guard to counteract it, and it basically locks it in place because you're using your body weight and the ground to completely steady that rifle. So I tried it. I tried the way that we did, that they recommended this last one, this last class. Didn't like it as much as the first one, and that's the one I stuck with.
Yeah. See, I would hate doing it the way that you had that other guy talk about because I have done it for so many years the way these guys taught it.
Where
And
you're just stabilizing the magazine with your left hand.
so I actually, unless I have a mag pod or something on, yes, that's what I do. I'll
Mhm.
actually stuff a pinky underneath, like if I have to use a metal mag to get that
Oh yeah.
everything completely on there. Otherwise, no. Yeah, that's the way I've always preferred to do it. And the
Yeah,
people who teach the other way generally are more AK guys because of
sure.
how
Yeah.
their magazines are made. So
Hmm.
it's like I don't shoot that dirty commie stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, I have one,
No,
but
I mean, these guys were bashing their like we were even you get down there, you got to take like a
it's
300-yard
okay. Hey
shot.
man, hey
No.
hey, it's cool. It's 2023. You
Hey.
do you.
I'm-
I'm just it's fine.
yeah.
It, it's just one of those where that's not it. I've tried that style before.
Sure.
And the other thing is being open to new training ideas, but also
Mhm.
realizing there are training scars. Like
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
straight up got made fun of by the owner for the training scar that I have.
Which one was that? I didn't
Yeah.
hear
How to
that
miss that?
conversation.
Oh no, this was we were going through and I don't remember if it was there had to be a reload involved or it might have just been the way it shook out. I needed to reload in a drill.
Mm.
Hmm.
And when we went through, it was, it was a timed drill. But as we went, I popped through, and instead of popping my hand back out to get my next set of shots off, I went boom, popped up, and then dropped right back into that 2005 early GWatt M4 stance. And
Oh
he
yeah.
goes, "Did you see how you changed?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I know. It's training scar." And he goes, it was one of those where he very much so knew, it's like, "Oh no, it's that 2005 2006 GWatt training. Like that was what we did." And there comes a time where if you're out running a gun all day, the closer you bring that hand in to the mag well, the less fatigued you'll get.
Yep.
Because at some point you're pretty much just locking everything up and going like, okay, yep, I'm here.
Well, that and when you're running a non-free floating handguard like the military's M4s are, you know, you put any pressure on that handguard can alter that bullet's travel. So I know like a lot of the guys teach to do that. Bring it in, lock it up, put your left hand on the front of the mag well so that you won't alter that path as much.
Yep. And that's just one of those where he wasn't really making fun of it. It was more of an insider joke type thing.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yep, I know exactly what I did. This
Yep. And we all have them. I was doing the same thing. I was, I used to use the old uh squared off police stance when I shot and I would actually if I was off of a target, I would bend my knees a little bit more as opposed to just moving the rifle with my arms and kind of getting off a good stance. And so that took me a while to break as well. So we've all been there.
Yep, no, and I'll probably never completely go away from grabbing the mag well just because, reasons. And but taking a lot of training and remembering that there are training is good because like I said, I've never taken a training class and not learned something. And it's one of those where like I've never taken a training class from Voda or Dust, and I doubt I ever will. But it's I once had someone explain to me that no one is ever completely useless if they can still be used as a bad example. And I hope no one ever has a training class like that where it's just like, hey, I don't want to be that. And one of the other things that we would be remiss to not talk about is the the social aspect that comes from training because there was some people there that I knew and had met before that came down to this class. They're again semi-local to us, and they went, "Hey, you guys are going to take this class," so they decided to come down as well. And then we also got to meet, a bunch of other, new people there, and that is one of those things where when you meet other good people that are into the same guns and training and the sphere of influence that are the things that you like, that's another way to get out and meet people that also like to shoot. So don't be afraid if you don't have like a buddy to go to a class with, because you might just meet a friend there who's like, hey man, no, I like doing this, and then you will get a training buddy or someone else to come shoot with.
Yep, that's true.
Like I've traveled quite a bit for classes over the past couple of years. I've drug Garth to some of them. I've I've taken quite a few by myself, and I've never not had a good time and never not met good people.
Yeah, that's
I agree to that.
Having fun and learning some. So,
well, guys, do we have anything else in closing here before we
I think so, Dooley. I mean, here's the thing, man. We had fun training. We enjoyed it. We had some gear doing it. And I know all three of us kitted up. But let's say people don't have a kit. Where could they find one?
Well, if they didn't have a kit and they were really wondering about these uncertain times that we live in, they could go to Predator Armor and find everything they need there. Everything from full kits or full plate carriers with body armor, IFAKs that are loaded up, soft backpack armor, everything you need and more. And you can find that at predatorarmor.com. Use code AR-15-10 for 10% off.
Outstanding.
Yep. And, the one thing I would change about that 1811 grip I have,
What's that?
I just wish that it would take quality grip panels from VZ Grip. Because the unique features of the AR grips that are machined from a solid block of G10 is G10 is great because it's durable and doesn't get slippery when covered with mud, blood, or sweat. The 17-degree grip angle and wide variety of textures from mild to extreme and multiple color options are available. 1911 grips, extreme customizability from standard and slim palm swells, thumb notches, safety cuts, bottom profiles, and more. More than 25 textures and 27 colors are available. This coupon code is good for 15% off handgun and rifle grips. And that code is AR-15POD.
I'm jealous. He took some really good pictures of the class this last weekend. And I only got like a 3/4 picture, but you got a full body picture. And I know why. Because you had Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co on your arm. And man, did it look good. Repping South Dakota-based company. Guys, go check them out. They have morale patches. They have tins. They have mouse pads. They have stickers and T-shirts. Go check them out. They have a Patch of the Month club. Please go check our friends out at Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co.
Yes, and Stephen, it was also great to meet you as well. And hopefully we will get to do another training class with you again sometime soon.
Yeah, we'll be back down. And I think we'd be remiss. We need to give a shout out to RevTac. That's who we were training with this weekend or last weekend. Located in Jackson, Nebraska. They have all sorts of training classes, not just AR-15, pistol, long distance shooting, group tactics, home defense, concealed carry, you name it.
Medical.
There's quite a few stuff. I'm scrolling through the class dates right now, and he's got a lot of interesting stuff on there. But yeah, guys, go check them out at it's RevTac, so REV-TAC.com. Show them some love. They were awesome to work with this weekend.
Yep. And again, that was a great place to be, and check them out. And well, guys, you got anything else to add? I know that we've been saying everybody needs to get out and get training, and we're doing that.
Yep.
And
don't forget
I
to
know
check
that.
us out.
Yep.
AR-15 podcast. Yep. Facebook, Instagram. Drop us a line at AR-15podcast 2.0 at gmail.com. We are up on firearmsradio.net and any of your other podcast listening apps. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot. We did post, I think, several videos and a lot of pictures from the last weekend, so you can see kind of some of the stuff we were doing, some of the kit we had. Drop us a line, comment, show us your own stuff as well. We're very interested.
Yeah, and if you're if not in the northern Great Plains region, again we travel to Colorado to train and stuff like that. But if you have people that you like to train with, post it up on like on our Instagram or something, or tag us and things, and let's find out some of these other, everyone knows about like Haley Strategic and Warrior Poet Society and stuff like that, or Tactical Response or Gunsight or Thunder Ranch, but who are some awesome kind of more local training outfits that people might not know about, and build some awareness and get more people out training.
Spread the love, take advantage of them.
Yep. So, Garth, you got anything else?
I'm good.
Tyler, you got anything else?
Don't pee into the wind.
Well, that's fair. Unless you're unless you really don't have any dust to check windage. So, but with that, you folks out there, stay safe and stay armed. Do you want to support the show? Subscribe and interact on social media. AR-15 Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. AR-15 Podcast on Facebook. AR-15 Podcast 2.0 at gmail.com if you just want to drop us a line. Find us online at firearmsradio.net. Click through our sponsors and support the people who support our show. Primary Arms, VZ Grips, Predator Armor, TacPack, and Patriot Patch Company.